Welcome to the Caravan Settings video, where I reveal all my data from the test so you can decide if caravans are worth running for yourself and what options you might be able to use to increase your profits. Right now, there is a problem with caravan profits. However, it is not with caravans themselves, it is with the economy. The developers know this, and that is what a problem is right now because they don't want to make a change to caravans. Because if they fix the economy, then the caravans will be out of whack. So their problem is they need to try to fix the economy, not adjust caravans. So with that being said, I went ahead and I started doing testing for 1.7. I did more testing in this branch than I have in any other branch before. And with 22 hours of testing, I'm going to reveal to you what I came up with. How I do my tests is I take 10 companions that are all the same. I will send them out for a month so they can get established. Then I will run them for an entire year. If any of them get captured, I will throw the data out and start over again until all 10 are successful for a year. I'll then take that money and I will divide it up between a year and buy 10 caravans. And that is what you will hear me say is caravan profit per day. So that is how much one caravan is making each day. So that is how I do my testing. So test number 1, I took 10 guys and sent them out with just one skill in everything. And after 1 year, they averaged 301 per caravan per day. I did start doing testing in riding and scouting, skills that I have used before, but I noticed very early on that the amount of profit that was increased was very small compared to all the other branches, so negligible that I actually stopped doing testing. And while riding and scouting is beneficial to have, right now I feel it is not important enough that you need to necessarily focus directly on that to achieve great profits. The next thing I did was I took all the people with just 1 point in them. I increased their trade to 100 and sent them back out again. And they achieved 327 profit per caravan per day. I then increased it to 200 and they got 345 profit per caravan per day. I then increased it up to 300 and they achieved 351 profit per caravan per day. So you could see that the increase in trade did not do much at all. Just like riding and scouting, increasing trade didn't have much of an effect on how much they made. So the one final test I ran in this profit was I took all their skills and made them 50. And they were able to achieve 349 profit per caravan per day, which 50 to all skills is pretty much what a starter companion would have when you get them. So getting about 350 a day is about what you can expect from this. Now, 350 might not sound that bad. It's not great. However, what you have to remember is the starting cost involved. Unlike my previous tests, I had a suggestion to this time run it without the upgraded troops, as it would cost less, and the upgraded troops only really help out near the beginning. So this time I only made the 15,000 investment. If you take a caravan with 349 profit and they are able to run the 2 years that Tailworld thinks an average caravan should run, and then you subtract the 15,000 starting profit, the actual profit that a caravan is making now drops down to 258 per day. Now you're talking about that is about what a workshop makes. So once again, you still have the high risk, but we do not have the high reward. So it appears that Tailworld has not made any adjustments to caravans or the economy yet to justify them being really viable at this moment. With that part out of the way, I now want to get to survivability. In previous patches, I thought that scouting was one of the most important perks to have, as being able to spot bandits and avoid them was best for survivability. However, there has been talk going on that caravans are not avoiding bandits, but they are running directly into them. This is something that is still being investigated. So the thing that came to me was that tactics should be the most important factor when it comes to survivability, because that is a simulated battle. And there are perks in there that you can see I have chosen that will help out when caravans are fighting against bandits. So what I did was I took 10 caravans. I ran them for 2 years, and I did that 20 times. That is 200 caravans that I ran for 2 years, and I counted how many survived. At day 200, 92% were able to survive the entire 2 years. I then went up to day 1000 when the looter packs get bigger. When I sent those same 200 caravans out, only 52% survived. So in my final test for survivability, I sent them all out again, except this time, instead of tactics being 50, I increased the tactics to 200. And on day 1000 with 200 tactics, 75% of the caravans were able to make it 2 years. That shows you how important tactics are to a caravan. So this is good/bad news. The good news is you now know probably the most important thing to have on a caravan is tactics. However, that brings us to the bad news. The only way you're going to get tactics is by fighting. And caravans aren't fighting that much. And when I have run tests with companion parties, even with them constantly fighting, tactics is an extremely slow skill to actually raise up. So the chances of you getting 200 tactics on a caravan is going to be slim to none. Even if you start out with somebody like the Golden that might have around 75 tactics, it is highly unlikely that by day 1000, you're going to have 200 tactics on a character. So getting tactics, I believe, is the most important thing. Obviously, having things like steward, medicine, leadership, roguery, scouting, riding, those are all important to have. And it's nice to have that. Also, the trade will give you a little bit more. But I will firmly believe that tactics is now going to be the number one skill to have for a caravan. So what profit can you expect to get running caravans in 1.7? I took 10 caravans, all with 50 skill, at day 200, and I sent them out for 2 years. If they got captured, I did not send them back out. I just left them there, and I let it run for the full 2 years. After I got the entire profit, I subtracted the 150,000 initial investment to run 10 caravans. I did this 20 times. And when you divide out all the days by all the caravans, I ended up coming up with 249 profit per caravan per day. That is total. If you were to send out 200 caravans on day 200 and you just sent them out there, you would average 250 per caravan per day. That is your expected profit you're going to make. That is very depressing to see. And are caravans viable to run? Yes. They can get you some skills like trade and scouting and riding, tactics. I don't believe Steward is still working yet. I did put that into the developers that they're not gaining Steward when they should be. So they're decent for making a little bit of money and raising some skills. However, if you're playing a death game, you do have to worry about them dying, and there isn't that much of a profit, and they do need to survive. Because if they are making 250 profit per day, then that means they're going to have to run for 60 days just to break even, which that is 3 months. So for the first 3 months a caravan is running, they are just paying their initial investment. Anything after 3 months is profit. So that is for you to decide whether or not you think that they are viable for you to run. And I think they are going to be very situational. For the normal player, I don't think they're going to run them. If you're not playing death and you want characters to be able to get EXP in certain areas, especially if you do plan on having them run their own companion parties, I do think it is a pretty good way of doing it, where you can get some other skills right now. But for the most people, no, you're not going to want to do that. We're still waiting on the developers to try to solve the problem with the economy, as I feel like Caravan should make a minimum of 350 a day pure profit, which would mean them making closer to 450 to 500 a day. That would mean they're making 350 to 400 profit after their initial investment. So until caravans actually get to that point, I will say that they're not viable for money making. They're just going to be situational. So that is the caravan update for 1.7. If I hear anything from the developers, I will let you know what they have come up with. Until 1.7.1, take care, and thanks for watching.